Coming up on Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports, we have some big James Wiseman injury news to pass along. Jonathan Kuminga has been added to the Rising Stars game during All-Star Weekend this weekend in Cleveland, and we'll take a look at 3 buyout candidates who the Warriors could look to pursue if they get bought out by their respective teams. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel by hitting that red subscribe button down below to stay in the know with all things Warriors. And with that, let's tip off today's show. Welcome in to Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. And while the Warriors as a basketball team are struggling right now, and that's not good news, we start off today's show with some good news and some positive news on the James Wiseman injury front. Really progressing in his rehab, coming off that torn meniscus in his knee, in which he suffered in April and got surgery back in the spring. And for the first time since going down with that injury, he is scrimmaging 5-on-5 in practice. That coming from Bob Myers, general manager of the Warriors, who's done a tremendous job with building this basketball team, not just this year, but in years past, helping lift the Warriors to 3 NBA championships during that dynastic run. Right now, going into tonight's game, the Warriors have 24 games left. So the door is open, even though it might be just slightly ajar, for Wiseman to come back in the regular season and make an impact, make an imprint on this year's team. So that door slightly open for Wiseman to play in regular season games. But for him, this is really, really good progress because he was supposed to come back in the fall. That got delayed to January, and now we're in February, midway through the month, and he's still not back in game action. I just want to see the sophomore standout ball out for this team because in the front court, as we've documented here on Warriors Today, they could really, really use him. As for what the Warriors might do on the NBA buyout market, here's what Myers had to say on the radio. If we thought Draymond was not going to be back, or Wiseman, and we thought some player would really help us, we would do that. At this state, as far as clamoring for a big guy, there isn't an obvious go get that type of guy, and he fits with what we do and can run our offense. It's not just taking any big and saying, this guy's going to be able to rebound, block shots, and run your offense. Our offense is intricate. Our offense is complicated. I love how he put that at the latter portion of that quote. Our offense is intricate. It really is, and that's why this franchise and this organization led by Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green have been so successful. And that's why when other teams try to replicate this offense, they've been unable to do so because not every organization has this front office, not every organization has this coaching staff, and not every team has the star power that the Warriors have. As for the buyout market goes, it's going to be interesting. There's a lot of time up until that March 1st deadline in which teams have to decide whether or not they're going to hold on to some of these players where things can change. A player on the Warriors can go down. Another player can ascend. Another player can get injured, which kind of impacts the NBA buyout market. So right now it seems as though Bob Myers is content with just kind of standing pat with this Warriors roster right now. But as we progress closer to that date, things can change because things in the NBA, things in professional sports, things in the business world are very, very fluid. Now, coming up later on today's show, we're going to talk about 3 more buyout candidates who the Warriors could target. But first, name a buyout candidate you want the Warriors to sign and give me a name or names in the comment section down below. While you're there, make sure you subscribe to Warriors Today by Chat Sports. It's my goal that by the end of the week, we get to 27,000 subscribers. Because if the Warriors make a signing, we'll be the first to let you know, in addition to bringing you informative, entertaining, consistent analysis, news, and rumors on your Dubs. Should just hit that red subscribe button down below and join the Dub Nation family here at Chat Sports. Speaking of the Dub Nation family, Jonathan Kuminga has become more and more a member of it, and he's really starting to attract a lot of eyes with his phenomenal play over the last several weeks. Him in the place of Draymond Green has allowed him to get more minutes and has provided us with a lot more highlights to gush over, because any given night, he does something that really makes you just sit back in your chair and say, my goodness, this guy is so gifted. And those aforementioned highlights has now led to him being added to the NBA Rising Stars game during this weekend, All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. First, he was snubbed. Now he's going to be a part of the equation. And his story has been crazy. It's been phenomenal. It's actually been kind of unreal when you think about it. He grew up in Congo. His basketball career and the passion for it started by him just watching Kobe Bryant highlights to learn the game of basketball. He moved to America at the age of 13 to pursue the sport, elected not to go the college route last year, played for the G League Ignite, gets drafted number 7 by the Golden State Warriors, and a few months later, he's named a rising star in the NBA, as he's now in elite territory as one of the best young players across the entire NBA. So we have to show some love to JK, Jonathan Kuminga, the man, the myth, the legend, by getting into the comment section right now and just congratulate him for the path that he's been on and the success that he's seen come his way. Just type JK in the comment section right now. Warriors buyout candidates. I know a lot of you have asked me about this on social media. Last week we talked about 25 buyout candidates. We're going to continue to break down these players because I think there's a realistic scenario in which the Warriors do add somebody, even though Bob Myers said what he said. Gary Harris, Eric Bledsoe, Mike Muscala. 3 different players who give you a different blend of skills, and let's break them down right now. Of these 3 options, my favorite one is Gary Harris of the Orlando Magic. He can control the rock, he can play off ball, he has pedigree, and he has offensive ability. I really liked him as a prospect coming out of Michigan State, and while he hasn't become the player I thought he was going to become, he's getting paid like a very good player, and at points throughout his NBA career, it's been really good. This year with the Orlando Magic, he's been very, very solid. And if you put him into the equation with the Warriors, we see that this is a player development factory, and once players become really ingratiated in this culture, once they become more and more comfortable, their game elevates. 11.5 points per game this year for Gary, 44% shooting, 38 even from distance, and he's attempting around 5 3-point attempts per night. Pretty solid numbers for Gary Harris. As for Mike Muscala, he's a stretch big who can play the 4 or 5. Think a little bit about Nemanja Bjelica when you think about Mike Muscala. 8 points per game, 3.3 rebounds. He's just okay in that area. Field goal percentage at 45.5, and he's shooting nearly 43% from distance, which is better than Nemanja Bjelica. So when you compare Muscala to Nemanja, think of a more consistent player in Muscala as compared to Nemanja Bjelica. Bjelica isn't really as good of an athlete, I would say, as Mike Muscala, who can really hover around that 3-point arc, but give you a little bit more something from a rim protection standpoint down low. As for Eric Bledsoe, totally out on Eric Bledsoe. Way too erratic for me. And at one point, Eric Bledsoe was a very, very good player, but his career has really gone in a downward trajectory the last several years. It all started with some playoff no-shows. I think that might have affected his confidence to a certain degree. He's just not efficient enough, especially with a team with an offense where efficiency really rules. Now he's with the Portland Trail Blazers after he was traded leading up to the NBA trade deadline, averaging a shade under 9 points per, but a 42% clip from the field ain't gonna cut it for me. Does it cut it for you? You let me know in the comment section right now. Pick one of these 3 players who you'd like the Warriors to go after. GH for Gary Harris, MM for Mike Muscala, EB for Eric Bledsoe. I'd target the first 2. I'm out on the 3rd. Hey, our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, by the way, it's humming, just like Golden State Warriors today, and we're a little less than 300 people away from 280,000 subs. So while we cover the Warriors here on this channel, we cover the latest NBA news, rumors, we do live shows year-round. Our NBA draft coverage and NBA free agency coverage is the most watched on YouTube. join the party by going to youtube.com/chatsportstv and join our Chat Sports family on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. We continue to kill the game over on that side of things. So if you want to stay in the know with everything going down in the NBA front, we have you covered there, in addition to here on Golden State Warriors Today.